I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the school board of Independent School District 695. Lisa, could you do roll call, please?
Director Sire? Here. Director Rice? Here. Director Crowdy Simon? Here. Director Lappy? Here. Director Raha?
Here.
Board Chair Casey?
Here. Item 2 is public comment. We have Mr. Bob Beluso who would like to address the school board.
Would you like me right here?
Sure, perfect.
Been a long time. Mr. Chairman, directors, and Superintendent Morrison, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this afternoon about something that I think is very important and something that I'm very passionate about. I have a long history with the district, and my late wife's family, from her parents on, were all students of the district. My side of the family, my parents and my children all went to school here, so did I. And of course, I worked here for about 11 years as principal and superintendent. And I would truly like to be very proud of the education that children students receive. I support public education, and I have for many, many years, and I have no problem being taxed responsibly to support public education. But I ask for that support, that the money, the tax dollars be spent wisely, and that the students get a good education. And I think that's only fair that I would ask that. For many years, we believed that a quality education couldn't really be measured because there were a lot of things going on in a lot of classrooms that looked very different, in a lot of schools and a lot of school districts across the country and across the state. So we were always comparing apples and oranges, and it never really was measurable. But we learned that when we, as a country, were comparing ourselves with other countries, we weren't doing so hot. And we started looking more at making education look more the same from place to place. So for the past couple of decades, we have the states in particular, through the federal government, telling public schools what students were expected to learn. And with those common standards, learning could be quantified and then it can be measured. And we now believe that we can tell what a good education looks like, at least a good academic education. Each year around Labor Day, the Minnesota Department of Education publishes what's called a report card. And there's a lot of information and a lot of data in that report card about all the public schools and all the public school districts in the state of Minnesota. And I think that a critical piece of information found in that report card is how each district performed on the statewide tests prior previous school year. And I think that's valid information, and I think it's important information. That information is used in a lot of ways. One thing, as I'm going to show you in a little while, we're going to see how school districts stack up against one another and how they measure up against the state of Minnesota. I know, and I suspect you do also, that educationally minded parents use that data when selecting a school for their children. They want to put their kids in a school that's high performing. I know that that information is looked at by prospective teachers and administrators when you have an opening. And those people, those high performing teachers and administrators, want to go to districts that are high performing. It just makes sense that high performing schools better prepare students for life, whether that be college or the workforce after the public schools. And success breeds success. Again, the high performing schools will have more motivated and engaged students and staff who want to continually do better from year to year. Nobody wants to be seen as at the bottom. We're not doing well. Chisholm's performance in reading, math, and science, which are the three areas that the statewide tests measure, hasn't been good. That stays there. Put together some information. Mr. Rana, would you take those around, please? There should be a couple of extras. I think I have probably 9 copies there. And I will tell you what I did. This is all data off of the Minnesota Department of Education website, the report card. I looked at 2 school years. The first school year is called 2022. That would be the 21-22 school year. And the second one's 2023. That's going to be the school year we just completed, 22-23. I ranked in descending order 8 school districts. This is district information. I'm not specific to a building, the district-wide information. I ranked 8 school districts and Chisholm, and then the state of Minnesota. For example, if you look at the first page, Math 2022, at the top, the percent of students meeting standards was hitting with 47.4%. In descending order, it's Grand Rapids, Greenway, Rockridge, MIB, Nashua, Keewatin, St. Louis County, Mesabi East, and Chisholm, with 28% of the students meeting standards. The state of Minnesota average was 44.8% of students. The last school year, going on to the next page. Was math for 2023. Again, in descending order at the top of our neighboring schools was hitting with 47.5% of the students meeting standards. Mountain Iron Beal, Greenway, Grand Rapids, Rockridge, Nashua, Keewatin, Mesabi East, St. Louis County. Chisholm was at the bottom with 30.2%. State of Minnesota average was 45.5%. Reading in 2022, I'm on to the third page. Unfortunately, with my technology skills, they all labeled number 1, page 1, but I can get through that. Reading 2022, at the top, I was hitting 56%. Those same school districts, the order may have changed a little bit depending on where they fell. Chisholm is at the bottom with 40.6%. State of Minnesota, 51.1%. Reading 2023, at the top is Mountain Iron View at 54.7%. At the bottom is Chisholm, 38.1%. And the state of Minnesota, 49.9%. On to science, 2022. Mountain Iron View was at the top of that list with 46.3% of students meeting standards. Chisholm is at the bottom, 33.1%. State of Minnesota average is 41.3%. Science in the school year that we most recently completed. At the top is Mountain Iron View at 44.8%. Bottom is Chisholm, 28.1%. State of Minnesota is 39.2%. Now, these districts were all chosen because of their proximity to Chisholm. I believe they're the closest districts geographically. They share a lot of the same problems that Chisholm does. There aren't a lot of big differences. And these scores are predictable from year to year. What you have, what I showed you, what I put together, is not an anomaly, it's a trend. And if we don't do something very significant to change that trend, it'll look the same next year. I believe that to improve significantly, we're beyond tweaking anything. I think we need to do a major overhaul. But before we can do a major overhaul, we have to find out why things aren't working. I don't know that answer. there's a lot of data that's available, and somebody has to do the hard work of analyzing that data, figure out where the problems are. Just one example that I might give you is, and I discussed this briefly with Superintendent Morrison, also on that same website shows the attendance rates by building and by district. Again, I just looked at it briefly by district, but it appears to me that Chisholm's attendance rate is lower than the state average. It's lower than other districts are. In my mind, I'm just taking a stab at this. It seems to make sense that kids who aren't in school regularly probably aren't going to perform as well on the statewide tests. But I don't know why there's an attendance problem. Is it a policy issue? Is it a discipline issue? Is it a climate issue? Is it a parent issue? Is it a health issue? Excuse me, all those things need to be considered before you can figure out why you have a problem and how to fix it. And the same would go on if you looked at everything else. You look at curriculum, you look at teaching styles, you look at time on task, all the other factors. You need to analyze what you're doing and analyze and determine what would work better. That's not an easy task. That's not a small project. But the data is available. Excuse me, and I believe there are people who can help with that situation. I hope that you agree that these test scores are important. And I hope you'll make improving these districts' test scores a top priority by supporting your staff and providing the necessary resources. I hope you will see that a comprehensive and strategic plan specific to academic improvement is formed, and that you will set benchmarks and monitor the plan to ensure that it's on target. It's a big job. It's not something that's going to occur overnight, and there's no magic bullet for it. But I really believe that needs to be done, and I hope you share that concern. Thank you.
Any brief questions?
Anybody have any questions for me? Anything I might help with?
No, the only comments or two comments, I suppose, is I appreciate you coming up here.
Thank
very,
you.
very much so. And number two is, it is imperative that we take these numbers to heart. And I'd like to even see it go a little further, to break it down by new students coming in versus students leaving. Where are those numbers going? Are students leaving, or are they at the higher end? Are they at the lower end, vice versa?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you'd be available for questions by anybody on the board.
Please feel free to call. I'm sure, I know you have my number, I believe, and I know Superintendent Morrison does. Please call if there's anything I can do. If there's anything I can do to assist the new superintendent, I would graciously do that as well. So.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, and I know he would appreciate that also. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move this out.
Item number 3 on the agenda. Guests and visitors. Jordan and Michelle, do you guys want to wait until?
Yeah, Luke is on his way. If you don't mind, we'll wait till
Sure.
items come up.
That would be fine. Item 4, approving the agenda. I have no additions or subtractions.
Motion approval.
Motion by Mr. Raha,
Support.
support by Director Crowdy Simon. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, approval of the consent agenda. These are the minutes of the August 28, 2023 regular meeting. Payrolls for the month of August 2023 in the amount of $149,910.05. And the accounts payable for the month of August 2023 in the amount of $610,026.53. Can I entertain a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Director Lappy, support by Director Rhonda Sauer. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, personnel. Motion to approve the hiring of Nancy Hill to job number 239, paraprofessional, effective September 5th, 2023. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Director Crowdy Simon.
Support.
Support by Director Raha. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Time is 5:15. Item B, motion to approve the one-year leave of absence for Jennifer Warrius, LPN paraprofessional, effective August 29th, 2023.
So moved.
Motion by Director Crowdy Simon,
Support.
support by Director Lappy. Any discussion? I do have one question. The verbiage that is used in there is freeze the appropriate verbiage to use.
What part?
Well, that's a good request. I think our motion is to approve the 1 year leave of absence. It should-
Yeah, but I don't want her to be confused as free or freeze versus,
I think she wants to not just lose her seniority.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
it
Okay.
just stops
Yeah.
on leave of absence
okay,
from the date that she's hired, so.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, motion to approve the at-will one-year contract for Jennifer Warriors, LPN, effective August 29th, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. It concerns me a little bit that she's leaving one position to come to an at-will. And to me, that means she's starting all over. Okay? In the contract here, it says she can carry over her sick days from her days as a para. Really? I don't think that that's right. You know, it all depends. If you go to a new position, you start brand new. That's the way I look at it. I'm not against her having this job, but to give her what she gave up with her leave of absence request is something that I just don't think is right. So, I don't know.
So I kind of had the same question myself, so I
Okay.
did send this off to the attorney
Okay.
and came back with that, and then we looked at, there's other examples. Me personally, some of my sick days carry over. It's sort of similar, it's kind of, it's a little bit different. So that was the question I juggled, I sent it off to the attorney, and that's,
Okay.
he came back, we're not that, in this specific case.
Okay.
Is how he wrote it up for me, so I made sure I got some help in this contract, so. But that's,
Well,
The concern is,
but I do hear you.
are we setting precedents?
well, I have one other statement. Mr. Morrison and I had a conversation about this position. And there's things I know that I can't let go. And I'm concerned about that. So I can't, it's a HIPAA violation to do so, so I'm not gonna say anything, but there's a situation that could arise and it could cause a problem. And he knows that, and that's fine. If we're gonna go forward with this, that's fine. I'll be supportive of it, but just to know that I'm a little bit leery, just a little leery of it.
Entertaining a motion for item C.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Director Rhonda Sauer,
I'll support.
support by Director Crowdy Simon. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, motion to approve the at-will one-year contract for Sarah Brust, RN, effective August 28th, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
I'll motion approval.
Motion by Director Raha,
I'll support.
support by Director Crowdy Simon. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm actually just really glad you guys were able to, work the next get positions filled.
Yeah. It's going really well.
Yeah.
Nancy's really helping out too,
That's
bridging that gap,
Mhm.
so the front end is gonna cost us a little bit more until they're ready to go, but that's going quickly, so.
Item E, motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Independent School District 695, Chisholm, and Education Minnesota, Local 1276, for Teresa Allen, a teacher on a special assignment for the 2023-2024 school year.
All motion approval.
Support.
Motion by Director Raha, support by Director Lappy. Any discussion?
Is this for her?
So she did not have to do this. She's, Mrs. Allen's pretty flexible team player. So her former MOU, she was curriculum and dean full-time. We could not fill that science position this late with all the, we had a retirement and we're filling the back positions. So our science teacher our other science teacher took an elementary position.
Okay.
So we got 0 applications and she was willing to be back in the classroom. So the way the schedule worked out, she'll be 3 hours of teaching, then the rest of the day she'll be curriculum and dean, so. And like I said, we were supposed to notify her by the 21st of April, I think the 20th of April. That's Mrs. Allen, she's a team player, she's flexible, and she's willing to help out where needed, so. So we had to come up with a new MOU just to label the specific hours.
Motion and second are on there, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item F, motion to approve the hiring of Frank Serrar to job number 249, level 2 football coach for the 2023 season.
So moved.
Motion by Director Lappy,
Support.
supported by Director Rice. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, motion to approve the hiring of Jessica Cornell, I hope I'm saying that right, to job number 250, level 3 volleyball coach for the 2023 season.
All motion approval.
Motion by Director Raha,
Support.
support by Director Crowdy Simon. Any discussion?
Is this an extra coach? I mean,
Be a
is this a
third.
third?
Yeah, they have a lot of numbers down in junior high level, a ton of numbers, most are, I'll say that Travis was here 2 weeks, so I want to say 39 was her number, so. They could definitely use the support for a year.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, administrative business. Motion to, maybe we'll have Mike, you want to give us a little background on this?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, before you, we're looking at replacing or fixing 2 heat exchangers at the barn. And so each unit has 2 heat exchangers in them, so that's what the number 12. 2 units, 2 per unit. So sent you an email, if you guys had a chance to look at the numbers as far as a couple different quotes. We had 3 for the fixes and 2 for the replacements. And as you can see, for 24 to 27,000 for the fixes, I think that's in our best interest right now. The bond is unknown to us in the next 2 to 3 years. Hoping to be able to sell that piece of property, but knowing that we won't be having school there in 2025. If we were gonna be hanging out that building for 5 to 10 years, I'd be looking at replacement of those units. And those are up into that $80,000 to $84,000 range. So for the money and what we can get done at this time, and also lead time, we can get the parts here a lot quicker in 1 to 2 months versus a 7 to 10 month period for the units themselves. overall condition of those units, they'll make it for the next, probably 4 or 5 years. And, but they are starting to get a little rusty here and there, but what part of the issue with those, heat exchangers are too, is they're not, we've replaced some burners, but also allowing some of the air to carry through past that, and LP, we're getting some smells back in the classrooms, just because they're not running efficiently on those exchangers, so that should help alleviate some of those issues that we've had for the last couple of years with that, so. Any other questions?
I guess, I used to sell heat exchangers, okay? And they're a lot different than what I think you're talking about, but these are complete replacements, or is it just the kits to
It's just the
repair?
kits to repair.
That's just the kits,
Yep, full replacement is the 80,000
yeah,
plus.
right,
Yeah,
okay,
and they're rooftop units,
okay.
and you have to run them, for the lake up there through the building, for the,
So if we order, go with the kits and stuff, does the company have to do something? They have to install it, or can we do that?
yes, no, they would be installing
They
it.
would be installing,
With the help of Joe up there, so that would save,
yeah.
that saves another person up there. It can be up there with them helping.
I didn't notice there was a lead time on those kits. And there is.
There's a little bit, they're talking 1 to 2 months, so. Which would still get us in, by November, early November here,
Okay,
so.
okay. What do you recommend?
I would say go, at this time, just knowing where we're going with the school, just fixing them at this time, not, purchasing the full two new units.
Well, I know me and Mike have talked, and if we purchase the new ones anyway, they get here when?
Until next year.
Yeah.
Go through
Okay, yeah.
Wouldn't make much sense.
Well, the burners, that's another thing that they can fail at some point in time, but I think that's what it's going on. But right now is just trying to, fix those as, and there again, that cost for the burners isn't as much as the heat exchangers themselves, so.
Mike, is there any time difference for repair / replacement between the 3 proposals? I mean, can one get to it sooner than the other? Or did they make any commitment to that?
They're about the same, I think, at this point with what we're looking at. I would go with the lowest at this time. My second choice would be, that's the one, the second choice would be Jamar, just because they would include the burners, so you get a little bit more bang for the buck versus Johnson Controls on this one, as far as maybe like $3 more grand. But this, when we had looked at these units, for what we could tell, the burners should operate as they are. I think it's more active on Jamar's part to install those at this time, so.
We currently use Johnson Controls for some of our other,
Yeah,
Well, is Johnson Controls isn't the cheapest though.
no,
A1.
right,
on full replacement they would be, but for the fixed part, my recommendation, I guess, at this point would be A1.
Oh, okay.
Because
okay.
that gives us a little bit of a cushion if there is a burner that fails, then we have some money on the road.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Creedy? I guess I would like the motion to be, state 2 separate things, making a motion as to whether we replace or repair. And the second part of the motion would be the company that we're going to use.
I'll make the motion to do the repair of the 2 heat exchange units at the Von Steffens Road as presented, and go with the A1 refrigeration of Hibbing Inc. bid in the amount of $23,950.
I would
I think
support
that's
that.
for
I'd support that motion.
Yeah, it actually says, this is written,
Yeah.
it says labor to replace 4 heat exchangers on the existing makeup air units at the school.
Yeah.
Motion is made by Director Karati Simon for the repair and using A1 in the amount of $23,950. Is there support?
Okay.
Support by Director Raha. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
At our last meeting, directors, we had a couple of options in front of us for the new gymnasium. We had an option 1, 2A and 2B designed for the new gymnasium. And, oh, Luke is here. Thanks for joining us. If you could just briefly, or Jordan or Rochelle, whomever, briefly go over those options and approximate cost or estimated cost, I should say.
So, Luke's got a drawing that he can share if need be, but we talked about.
Put it up? Is it clear? Yeah.
I think that's clear. For me, it was.
So while he's working on that, we essentially have 3 different options that we've been discussing. So there's option 1, option 2A, 2B. We've had some meetings with Mark and Mike, some preliminary meetings to discuss through, and I think what we've discussed as far as needs go, option number 1 is probably the least desirable. To explain what that is to leave the current floor plan in the current gym as it is. Our occupant load is, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, we're just sub 400 with our current floor plan.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was 340, not including the walkway.
Yep, so, well, what stemmed this all on was the ask of, can we fit more into this gym possibly? The answer is yes, and then option 2A and 2B are the implications that go with that. So with option number 2A, what we would do is we would take the current bleachers and we're able to move them to the other side of the gym and reconfigure them to add more seating. So that's relatively cost neutral. The cost impact would be that with more people, we need to supply more fresh air. So we need to upsize the mechanical units. So the approximate value on that is around 50,000. That's something that we're comfortable that's within the budget right now. We can handle that. We can make that change without really being a detriment to the rest of the project. With the level we're at, we're far from 100% detail. So that's something that we're relatively comfortable with. So yeah, it would increase from 340 to 600. And then along with that upgrade, what was the other piece of that?
On 2A?
I think we have about 50,000 into the unit. There's also controls costs, and a little bit more things like that. So I think,
Bleachers.
and yeah, so the total impact was about 115,000. So right now, those were kind of the 2 options. The third option, the difference between the second and third isn't a very big one. The 2 practice courts, regulation size, they would be 2 feet underneath the regulation size if we removed the gyms over, or to move the bleachers over. If we were to go back and widen out the gym box in this 2B option to have full regulation cross courts, that does add square footage. So we calculated about 225,000 to do that. And that's mostly square footage cost because that's what we're doing is adding square footage. So it is definitely a bigger impact. At the same time, with the way that the budget stands and with the conversation we're about to have on the next line item, you know, any of the 3 options, I think we're comfortable proceeding with, knowing that we have different funding coming into play where we can take some things that are in the project and fund them differently. So it really becomes a board decision at this point, what route we want to go. I think from what I've heard, the option that I would most likely recommend would be the option 2B is to get the occupancy. And then you do cross courts that are not regulation. And some of the considerations we've had with that, sorry, 2A, sorry. Some of the considerations we've had with that is that when we play a cross court game, it's typically not gonna be a varsity game. So those 2 feet don't matter near as much, rather as the width does, which is not effective. Luke, is there anything else that you wanna point out first? You wanna?
2A, does that still include the walking?
Yes.
Correct.
They would all have a walking track.
I think this is the second level from both of those.
I think what 2A Travis said that we would be able to play varsity volleyball tournaments as the courts were, I believe.
Yep.
he said.
Yeah, they're much smaller.
And sorry, I should backtrack, I was talking basketball.
Yeah, right,
Yeah, yeah.
Which one did you want to show?
Jordan, is the walking track wider between 2A and 2B and it'd be the north side, or it'd be the left side of the picture, that would be west, right?
Yeah, we did talk about that last
That's the same or wider?
So I believe 2A,
Standing room viewing is what he's talking about.
Yeah,
The standing room viewing at the bottom,
because it was gonna be
On the
or
left.
on the left.
the
the
walking
left.
track above top.
That could get a little bit bigger. I think they had shown it at about roughly 6 feet in width. In either option, we could make that get a little bit wider. We could add those
Okay.
a couple of feet, so that would get up to like 8 feet there.
and that's the difference between 2 or 3 lanes. I think 6 foot is pretty comfortable for 2. 8 is about what you need for 3. But by moving the bleachers over in both options, it allows that to grow either way. So that's a good thing as well.
And the estimated cost of 2B would be 2 1/4? Is that what
Correct,
you're saying?
correct.
Yeah.
In the original base floor or whatever, this is what the second level looks like, right? The walking track, this is
Correct.
just showing you what the second top level looks like.
On
all
three.
on all three.
On all.
Correct.
It's just that there might be a little bit more square, like feet you could add on the left
The-
side.
yes.
Here, depending on if you move the
This
bleachers.
would grow in
Yeah.
width a little bit. Yep.
But this is gonna be the second level of that, gym on
Correct.
all of them.
Yes.
And by moving the bleachers, there's no longer direct access from the locker rooms into the gym.
Correct. There would be some items moved around on that lower level to accommodate the bleachers.
Okay.
So now the access would be down the hallway, go to the end, and then come in the corner.
And did we find out where we're gonna get the money?
And we said that Travis said he might have a possible sponsor or two
Well.
interested.
They're not here now.
I mean, sponsors,
Naming rights.
I brought it up to a couple of groups also. Just to throw it out
Brooks and
there.
Felix.
Like the name and
$50.
neon light.
$50.
Oh my God.
Tell them it's gonna be naming.
Directors, any other questions for the folks from Jensen? Or to the folks from Jensen? If not, I will entertain a motion, and if you're making motion, please state what option you are going to select.
I would make a motion to select option 2B.
Motion by Director Raha for 2B,
Bob, to increase the full size of the gym by 2 feet?
No, decrease.
No. Oh, then you're 2A.
You're two-way.
You're talking about 2.
Okay, it says here in 2B, minimize cross court 50 by 82.
Option 1, minimize cost for 50 by 82. Option 2, increase size of gym. So that one is 2A. And then option 2
Oh,
is 2.
I see.
So 2,
Excuse me.
2A is when they get to go up in seating, and but they're not increasing the size of the space, but they're moving the bleachers over and getting
Yeah.
more.
I rescind that motion, I make a new motion to go with option 2A. Sorry.
I thought that's what you meant.
Motion rescinded, Director Raha has made a motion for option 2A, correct? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Raha?
And I'll second that motion.
Supported by Director Fry Simon for option 2A. Any other discussion?
So the only thing is, I agree with Cindy. I know that there's some options to get, people to provide money, but you guys also indicated you're comfortable recommending those options because of some different funding, or ways to fund various other parts of the project. So is there any more information on that?
Are you gonna give us a head nod?
Okay,
It kind of transitions into the next
the
one.
next part of that, okay, alright. I mean, I don't want, when you're doing something like this, you don't want to not do it correctly the first time, because that would be silly. We've used the other gym for,
600
many-
years.
Yes, many, many years, so we wanna have a nice facility and a good gym and enough seating for people to come and enjoy themselves. It's very tight right now, I mean, to, even watch a basketball game. So,
Our main job is to keep us ourselves.
yes,
We gotta be able to have the money
and
before we start busting bricks.
As we spoke of at the last meeting, those cross-court games are generally gonna be elementary.
Yeah.
And I've been in gyms, and Jackie's been in gyms where it's very short, not even this wide, and it functions quite well.
But I do, it was important to know that you're not gonna have the same space for the band. The band comes to many games, they're gonna take up a large area, there. You just want people to wanna come and enjoy the new gym. So I think that's why I do support going, moving the bleachers, adding those additional costs so that we have enough seating so that we're not running into a problem where
We're not packing them like
we're packing them like
sardines, that's what I mean, yeah,
exactly.
I agree.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Item C, motion to approve the IRRR application for $8 million for eligible building projects identified in statute as energy efficiency, technology, infrastructure, health, safety, and maintenance improvements. I believe.
Would you like a little update on this?
Yeah.
Sounds like we gotta make some additions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Whitney Ridlon from IRRR on my way over here. She gave me a call back on some of our questions that we'd sent, but this is the application for what we've been working on for about 1.5 years with legislators and lobbyists, and then it got placed in law. So this money is there and is designated for TISM. So this is now the application for you to submit to identify the projects, and they did send a letter with letting us know what type of projects, and so those are all identified. Luke can give me a little more support here on the items, but this came out of your overall facility assessment of all of your facilities. And the plan was that the referendum would be for building a new elementary, and then if we got the IRRB funds, it would go towards all of the high school projects, and the priority ones in the high school projects. So that's what has been placed into the application. In my conversation with Whitney, she asked that we provide a little bit more history on the project itself, so we'll add that in there. History about the elementary and the referendum and the whole facility assessment. She asked for a little bit more detail, which Luke has already provided in here on the items. So that's already done. We don't need to identify 9,757,000. She said we only need to identify 8 million. So those will be the changes you'll see in the final document that Miracle will submit. But what we're asking for tonight is just approval to submit the application for the $8 million. So Luke, do you have anything to add to that?
Maybe go over briefly, I think I saw you
Yeah.
had this one too, so I just kind of condensed down, you probably saw this in a different form in the past, but just went back to the facility condition assessment and all the different priorities that we worked through. And I checked in the majority of the highest priority one items that are on here. We spoke a lot about those throughout the pre-referendum process and facility condition assessments. Checked those. I added a few in that have been brought forth since. That'd be auditorium roof access to get something that's safer there right now. That's an issue. Trying to get up there and where the roof hatch is. Something that has been brought up as a higher priority item to address, to find a different path up to that roof level. And then also I made a change, I could show up under site to, where it's at. The electrical, vault, I find that on what I have here on the back page. There it is, yeah, it's on the back page, waterproof electrical vault. So that was looked at structurally and was deemed to be, structurally sound. It needed some repair, but the biggest issue that structural engineer brought up was just the waterproofing kind of over the top. There's asphalt over it, we need to do, take that off, make some repairs to the concrete there, and then put something over the top then that won't allow water to go through. So I boosted budget up for that, or allocation for that piece. You won't see a lot of the site items, the ones in there, the majority of those are being addressed in one way, shape, or form kind of within the referendum project. We're touching a lot of concrete pieces, parking lots and some of those pieces too, so I didn't check any of those in there. The biggest pieces that you'll see are within the mechanical piece, auditorium ventilation being one. That unit is the majority of the unit, I'll say. There's been some work done on it over the years, but kind of the base piece of it is original from 23. The distribution as well is kind of underground seating, through kind of dusty, it's not ducted. It's where the air is pushed up into the space. So an access in there isn't any. So we would have to create some access to get equipment in and out of that space. That's that number is higher than the number you'd see typically. And then checked the HVAC, the pneumatic control and the heating system conversion to hot water. Had that, put that within IRRB. This project is eligible to be covered under this. It's within the high school itself. And that will then help me free up, any funds. Referendum funding is more flexible in spending than what these dollars are. So, and it does give me a little bit of a buffer for the budget for the new build too, for some of that additional square footage that's in there too. So it's kind of dual purpose, but it gives you more flexibility is probably the biggest piece. Having those kind of leftover referendum dollars versus IRRB funds, and then where that gets started.
So that answers your questions where those additional funds may come from. Okay. Relieve some of the pressure out of the construction fund. A couple of other things, are you done with
That is it, unless there's questions on that or the scopes that are in there, I will have to, they asked, or Whitney said, submit $8 million. So I'll have to go through and kind of change some of the budgets on some of the budget, the line item breakouts, and she did ask for maybe a little bit more detail on a few of these line items. It's kind of difficult to give at this time. We don't have designs, we don't have some of that stuff, but I'll make some breakouts. Just kind of best knowledge that we have on those, but I'll have to kind of tailor some of those pieces down. I would just ask if there's something that jumped out, you're like, no, we don't need to do that. That's something I can just remove as well. There's a lot of these. Try to keep it open too, so we can pick and choose what you want.
A couple of other things that Whitney said in relation to that is that if there are changes later on, you can go back and resubmit or make some changes to your application, and it would go through another bonding committee cycle. So the purpose of this, it does not go through their IRRR board meeting. It just goes through the bonding council there so that they can bond for the $8 million. She said we are the only district that has actually responded and is getting information back to them out of the multiple districts in the legislation. So she said kudos to Chisholm for actually getting your application done. It is based on reimbursement, so the district will have to pay the invoices up front, and then you submit. In my experience with IRRR is they're very good at, once you submit those invoices, getting the funds back to the school district. And
Is that true,
there
Alex?
is no match. Alex laughs.
I'm looking for a nod from Alex.
So Alex, get
We're
your
working on it.
application ready. And there is no matching required, which is great, because originally with the legislation, they were talking about a match by the district, and there is no match required. So those are all good things.
We'll maybe, mention there too, so some of that, we're designing in that, the hot water conversion into the referendum project, that'll be bid along with, so we'll put language in there to be able to break that out separately for that invoicing piece too, but it'll also, you also can use, because it's, kind of, we're designing in with that or whatever anyway, it would maybe help, maybe catch some of the cash flow, I'm guessing, because you could use the bond dollars to pay that and then
Reimbursed.
get your reimbursement for my triple ID, at least on those portions.
Any questions?
Does everybody see the confused look on my face?
Oh,
Okay. So it says your sources of funds, 8 million.
mhm.
And you go down 4 lines and it says total sources of funds, 9.757.
That's where
That's
the
gonna
draft
change.
comes in.
Yeah.
The who?
It's draft, I took it out real quick before I sent it off, we did get confirmation that no 8 million, I took that out and have since updated it, so that'll say $8 million.
Yeah.
And then the bottom piece as well, I will need to
It'll match 8 million.
massage
Yeah.
those around to add up to 8 million, now that we have that information.
Yeah. One of the-
Basically, we put together a list of what would qualify.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, you have 8 million, so just put the 8 million, so if they were to nitpick, we'll get to 8 million and take off what we don't need right here.
So what you're saying is some of this might be eliminated or downgraded.
Correct, we may not be able to do as much as, we've got $8 million to work.
I get it, yeah. Okay.
We feel we could ask for the 9.7 if it was available, but they're only gonna give 8, so.
Well, when they send the check, go back for the, I'm just saying. Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the IRRR application for 8 million for eligible building projects identified in statute as energy efficiency, technology infrastructure, health, safety, and maintenance improvements.
So made.
Motion by Director Raha,
Support.
support by Director Lappy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
I just wanted to add on a personal note, I think Luke will be back here in a couple weeks at the next meeting to present a design update. I will not be here because I've got a baby coming in any day now. So, just wanna let you guys know, I would be here other than that, but I'll see you.
Bring the baby.
You're gonna,
Bring it along, yeah.
you're gonna wanna show up here.
I just asked Alex.
Okay.
Just ask Alex.
But you're a good hands with Luke, so I'll be back at the next
Really?
Thank you so much.
We're pretty used to Luke.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item under administrative business is item D, motion to approve the engagement letter with Sterling and Company for the performance of the fiscal year 2023 audit not to exceed $18,150.
Mr. Chair, can I just give a quick update?
Absolutely.
So at the end of July, my administrative assistant, Amy Fearing, unexpectedly resigned. I don't know if you had a chance to meet her, but she did more than I even knew. She was the administrative assistant and administered all the benefits for both districts. So then our accounts payable person moved into that position. And she's still trying to figure it out. She's been working long days and we did hire someone to fill that position. Lisa was on the committee and we're very confident in her, but she can't start until October 2nd. So the auditors are on site, they're working on Hibbing right now, but I think they're scheduled to start in Chisholm, or for Chisholm on the 25th. So
Now, were you guys able to get that little break that we had kind of chatted about?
No. We had actually talked about maybe having a different firm in one of the districts, just to free up. And it just, the time just got away, and we couldn't transfer all the data and information in time, and it's like, we'll have to get through it, but we're contracting with ARC to help us with some of the stuff, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so in October, hopefully it'll slow down a little bit, but we are scheduled to start at the end of the month here, so.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve the engagement letter with Sterling Company.
I'll support.
Motion by Director Karati Simon, support by Director Amanda Sauer. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, Alex.
And blessed.
Motion to approve, looking for a motion to approve the resolution to accept donations. Resolution number 23-09-11.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Director Karati Simon, support by Director Amanda Sauer. Have to do a roll call on this one.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, I'm sorry, it's the donation of school supplies from the fee from the community.
Oh, we're missing an R.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
No, we do a roll call though. You don't have to.
It's up to you guys. I can do it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a revise well, it's a resolution.
Ready?
Okay.
Director
I'm
Sauer?
ready.
Yes. Director Rice?
Yes.
Director Karati Simon?
Yes.
Director Lapi?
Yes.
Director Raha?
Yes.
Board Chair, please.
Yes. Resolution 23-09-11 passes. Item number 8, just a little discussion. We all received an email from MSBA legislative. They're looking for ideas for legislative resolutions to bring, I believe, to the next legislature. And I talked with the superintendent just a little bit on this. There are some things I think that he's concerned about, and I think some things that I'm concerned about. One of the items we were discussing is allowing the district to bring back their own form of disciplinary methods. Now, when I say disciplinary methods, I don't mean anything capital or nothing like Mr. Kuberta or
Mr. Stoddard.
Mr. Stoddard or anything like that. But just as an example, you now can't take away a student's recess as punishment. So where is the stick? For lack of a better term. And I think that resolution has to be in.
I didn't see the data, but the discussion we had too is, if I can butt in a little bit, is just leaving the school district some autonomy would be the, I don't know how you word that, but there's a lot of stuff that came down from the legislature. If you've been paying attention to the school resource officer discussions and they're pulling out of all the schools because of some language that they're concerned about, and with good reason and whatnot. So the discussion I had was just leaving the districts with some autonomy to make our own policies and follow through on things. But I don't think we had shared too many specifics, it was just a short conversation, but I know that's a bit of a frustration down at the elementary level right now. Is it's just, without going into examples, I saw some of it today. And it's a feeling from the principals that our hands are being tied a little bit more every year, a little bit more and more, so.
So I think that email from MSBA came out to us maybe 10 days ago or somewhere around there. So look back and take a look at it, and if you've got some suggestions or ideas, please contact Mr. Morrison or myself. please consider that.
Also, Mr. Chair, I remember they have these, area meetings that I used to attend, and I don't know where our region is this year, but they have MSBA representatives there, and they talk about the legislation, they talk about everything, so I have to find out where it's at. It used to be just in Hibbing at the college and go over there and say your piece or whatever, but, we get a hold of MSBA and find out where our area is, Iron Range or whatever, and if we're interested in going, we should go. And it's worthwhile, it is absolutely worthwhile.
Did you find it out? Thank you, Ms. Eldridge. Any other discussion on that? Or any discussion that,
Are we gonna talk about after-school care?
Oh, yeah, we can. So, we have a person, we're just waiting on a background check to come in. So we're looking to start 2 weeks from today. So, Hannah Barney's gonna get the registration information online. One of the issues, just so you know, one of the issues that, basically we wanna set a daily rate. Because one of the issues is they were charging by every 15 minutes to sit there and tally that throughout the day. This child was here 16 minutes. So not only for the person that's there that night, it's also a lot of work coming back and for Hannah to sit there and sift through 15-minute charges. So she wants to look at just charging a daily rate and, you know, we're talking about weekly rates, but there are a handful of parents that use it just 1 day a week based on what's going on. So if we charge a daily rate, then if they're there for 1 hour or 3 hours, it'll all be the same. But it should be available in 2 weeks. I got a list of candidates to interview for an assistant. So I think we need at least one lead in place and then hopefully 2 assistants.
And can we put that out somewhere so people know?
Yeah.
Because I think we kind of dropped the ball on that where, you know, people
Just
were expecting
Yeah,
it to be available the first day of school, and then that kind of puts people in a lot of bad spots when you're working.
You mean put it out as
Well,
advertising
no.
that now it's here?
Well, that's
What's
the thing.
available and.
Or if just to make sure people who are on the list, once they're registered, you know, get like an email or some sort of direct communication, or maybe something on our website. I think it was on Facebook. And I mean, if it was me, I would never have found it.
I had a hard time
Just
finding it,
because
saying
that's
it
not-
didn't start, but
But I also think it was trouble because of just getting the staffing and having people ready to go with it, so.
so short answer, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, because really, I mean, people can start signing up, I would know, even if we don't know exactly it's gonna start 2 weeks,
Yeah.
whatever. I think we wanna, because I just hope we didn't lose, you know, because I think a lot of people scrambled. But, okay, and Hannah's good with it?
Yeah, Yeah.
She's a little under the gun. I know her son was just notified that he graduated from Army Ranger School.
Oh,
So she'll be heading out to his graduation, I think, this week. So that's why we pushed back, or she has pushed back, I should say, the start of after-school care. Item number 9, enrollment numbers, you have those in front of you. It looks like we got a little tick upwards from last May to this September, which is always a good thing. Our next meeting on September 25th, after our regular meeting, we'll also be meeting with the city council.
Do we know when?
Is it here
I
or?
think we're gonna have our regular meeting here.
then we'll head over to the high school at 6:30, I believe.
Is the media center or?
Yeah, that's where it happened last
Yeah,
time, right?
right.
We got the STEM stuff up here, so.
We'll have
I don't wanna
to
go
post
up there,
that.
I can't hear a thing.
True.
It's
It's
terrible, it's terrible.
Is that the only other, that's only upcoming joint meeting for the board? Everything
That's
is
the whole,
same.
that's the whole board.
Yeah.
We have our
Right.
Hibbing Chisholm School Board Committee meeting on the 27th.
Yeah, that's what I
Just
thought.
fine.
And then we're
That's just
gonna
it.
try to do the joint one in October on that date I said.
October 11th.
11th, I believe.
To find out what time you were available. Hitting to them.
For the whole group.
Did you ever find out, I mean, was the committee going to meet with the city ahead of time or just the whole board?
The whole board.
The whole board is the whole board.
Okay.
We're the whole board,
Yeah.
And what is that date, October?
Our next Monday meeting.
25th.
Oh, that's what the city chose
No,
on.
the city Chisholm, but then weren't you talking about another one that,
With Hibbing.
and that is when?
I thought tentatively October 11th.
That's what I thought, October 11th,
I
the
don't remember if there was a time or.
committee is supposed to meet on the 27th, as far as I remember.
Right.
I have 3 to 4 down, but I don't know if that's correct. Collaboration meeting, 3 to 4. On the 11th.
I really don't have anything down.
And the 27th, we're 1 to 3.
Nope, I've got a.
September 27th, working group meeting with between Hibbing and Chisholm, the committee that we've had. October 11th, working group meeting. So I'll double check everything.
They have their meetings on Wednesday.
They do.
They do.
So maybe we would go after that. Because now I do have something else to talk about. Didn't jump on it fast enough.
Does anybody else have any other information or items they'd like to bring up?
I'll email everybody.
If not, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So many.
Motion by Director Lappy, support by Director Baha. Time is 6:06. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bozo.